a huge fan of The Miz, who became the WWE Champion in December, just a few months after the Raw General Manager had been instated in power by the WWE Chairman. He hated the Harts. Of course, the Raw General Manager came in after Bret Hart finished up his run as the General Manager of Raw, which lasted about 1 month. Everything pointed towards Michael Cole, his hatred for Jerry Lawler, and the fact that he was involved in a program with Jerry Lawler around WrestleMania 27 time. It all pointed in the direction of it being Michael Cole. Now, do I still believe it's Michael Cole? Yes, I still believe it's Michael Cole. And if I had to pick somebody who I believed to almost 100% certainty that it were, I would say it's Michael Cole, given the fact he has this annoying saying on WWE television. His catchphrase now has become, I quote, it's become a religious saying on the part of a lot of WWE Universe members. So the probability of it being Michael Cole is kind of the obvious conclusion that a lot of people will jump to. I will admit to you that I was one of the individuals who jumped to the obvious conclusion that it is Michael Cole, because everything kind of points in that direction. Now, he could be just thrown in there as somebody to make you believe that it is him, and then they're going to change it around, and then all of a sudden somebody's going to come out and say that the Raw General Manager, while Michael Cole was put in place there as sort of a diversion. So that's the obvious thing, and that's the obvious conclusion that I can come to here for this week's audio commentary, and say that it's Michael Cole. His fan base on his Twitter and his Facebook page has absolutely exploded since this whole Raw General Manager thing came into fruition back in 2010 and the idea was put in place. I like the idea of the podium. I like the idea of how the chime sounds in, and then Michael Cole gets up and reads the anonymous Raw General Manager emails. I think that is an amazing gimmick for Michael Cole to do. In past years, we've seen him involved in entertaining interviews with The Rock. We've seen him involved with different superstars through the years through different vignettes, even back as far as the whole John Heidenreich thing he used to do on Friday Night SmackDown, when Heidenreich would kidnap Michael Cole and read him a poem. But this idea WWE Creative have come up with to turn him heel and be sort of the spokesperson for the anonymous Raw General Manager, building up to the revealment of who the Raw General Manager is. I like the idea that they're going with having him being the spokesperson for the Raw General Manager, because he's doing his job very well. He's getting on the nerves of the WWE fans, and by how much he's getting on their nerves, obviously he is doing his job right and doing it very effectively, and that's why WWE, I think, have prolonged the idea of them revealing that it's Michael Cole. Do I think they're going to eventually reveal that it's Michael Cole, given his relationship with The Miz and his friendship with The Miz and how he, rehired the Nexus and everything? I think that definitely eventually they will reveal that it is Michael Cole. If it isn't Michael Cole, I'm not going to be let down. I'm not going to become severely depressed over the fact that it isn't Michael Cole. There was a report filed on ProWrestling.com that the probability of it being Michael Cole was the obvious choice. But I think that, eventually they're going to reveal that it is Michael Cole. I'm going to stand to my original assumption of it being Michael Cole, but he's obviously doing his job very effectively, and the fact that he can tweet fans and talk to them on Facebook and different chat rooms and things and still commentate Raw and keep up on everything that's happening on Raw, being able to pay attention to in-ring action and still tweet to fans is absolutely amazing. So Michael Cole deserves a lot of props for being able to do his job effectively and get on the nerves of the fans like he has over the last year. But given everything he's been doing on WWE television, he's the obvious conclusion that I'm sure a lot of the listeners out there in Radioland have jumped to. Obviously, it is Michael Cole. The chances of it being Michael Cole are very high, and he's the obvious probability at this point in time. Now, a lot of people were saying that it could possibly be Shawn Michaels, given his farewell speech that he gave in March of 2010, when he said he was going to do everything in his power to make sure he never returned to in-ring action. Maybe he meant that he was going to stay out of the ring, but still be involved with WWE. Now, I know he signed a short-term deal with WWE following his retirement announcement, so maybe he's staying behind a computer and he's kind of keeping himself himself hid off television. He made a couple of appearances around last year's WrestleMania to help the Undertaker Triple H program, given his involvement with the Undertaker for the past 2 years at WrestleMania. So maybe he's keeping himself hid. And given his hatred he had in the early 90s for computers and his lack of understanding of technology, it would be kind of funny that it is Shawn Michaels. A couple of times on Raw programming, they have teased the fact that it could be Shawn Michaels or a DX member, but, you know, we're going to have to wait and see. Shawn Michaels is a choice to be the Raw General Manager, but I don't see him coming back anytime soon. If he said he's not going to, come back on WWE television or return to action anytime soon, I believe him. One thing about Shawn Michaels is he's always been a man of his word. And if he says he's going to try to do something and keep it within his power to remain out of the ring, then he's obviously going to do it. I don't see him being the Raw General Manager. There also was the story that came with this whole idea of Triple H being the Raw General Manager. Now, there was a story that was published on ProWrestling.com last summer about Triple H making this grand return as the leader of the original Nexus. That could have happened, and I'm wondering why WWE never went with that. Maybe because the whole Undertaker Triple H storyline for WrestleMania 27 was in the works. Now, given the fact that the Undertaker was buried at Survivor Series 2010 by the Nexus, that would have been an interesting swerve to throw into the storyline. Triple H comes back as the reason why the Undertaker was buried, and they had this big match at WrestleMania 27, and Triple H is the leader of the original Nexus. Now, that never came into fruition. That was the last story that was posted about Triple H. So with that story not coming into fruition about him being the leader of the original Nexus, now people are saying that it could be Triple H who the anonymous Raw General Manager is. I don't see that happening, especially when you're relying on Triple H to come in twice a year to have this huge match at a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam. You can't always rely on people like The Undertaker and Triple H to keep on creating magic when these two individuals are way past their prime. So the chances of Triple H coming in as the anonymous Raw General Manager, I'm crossing off the probability of that happening, because I think Triple H is more than happy with his current role with WWE. He's off television. He's got a high office position in WWE, and I think that it's going to be a while before we see Triple H back in the ring again. If we do see Triple H back in the ring again, it's going to be at next year's WrestleMania against The Undertaker in the epic WrestleMania match, where The Undertaker will possibly lose his streak as he attempts to go to 20-0. That's the only time I see Triple H returning to WWE television. Do I think he's the anonymous Raw General Manager? No, I don't. I think he's not the Raw General Manager. I think Stone Cold Steve Austin's not the Raw General Manager, and I think Shawn Michaels is definitely not the Raw General Manager. And those were three obvious choices of who the Raw General Manager could be. They were the obvious choices. The McMahons were the obvious choices. I don't see that happening. Who I think the Raw General Manager is, I'm going to say it again like I previously said here for this week's audio commentary. I think it's somebody like Michael Cole. It could be somebody we haven't seen in years on WWE television looking to make this huge return. That is something that I see happening, but I don't see it being somebody like Triple H, who has this huge high office position in WWE where he has so much creative control. If he wanted himself to be the anonymous Raw General Manager, he could make it happen. Right at the beginning of this whole Raw General Manager story that came in the summer of 2010, a lot of people believed that it was Bret Hart who had been given an off-screen role. But that was a stupid assumption to make, and that was somebody making that who obviously had the intelligence of an idiot. I don't think it's Bret Hart. I don't think Bret Hart will want to be involved with WWE in that regard. And given the fact that we have seen Stone Cold Steve Austin on television helping out Tough Enough, I don't think WWE are going to turn around and say that it was Stone Cold Steve Austin all along. I see Michael Cole ending up quitting doing Raw commentary and being the Raw General Manager and being replaced by Josh Matthews, because in a situation like this, what you have to do are you have to put together the clues that you've been given each week. Every week we're given a different clue as to who the Raw General Manager could be. Right away, as soon as the Raw General Manager is put in power, he reinstates the Nexus. A few months after that, The Miz becomes the WWE Champion. Who's the number one fan of The Miz? Michael Cole. If you don't believe that, go to Michael Cole's Twitter account or Facebook page. The Miz is obviously his number one friend. Then you have to put together the clues of the hatred that the Raw General Manager had for Jerry the King Lawler. There are so many obvious clues that are thrown at you every week, and every week we get a different clue. So I do think it's Michael Cole, and I think eventually what will happen is he will be replaced by someone like Josh Matthews, who is a good commentator. If you have to, throw in Todd Grisham as a possible replacement for Michael Cole. I think that Michael Cole's work schedule in WWE has definitely been taken to a whole other level, and right now he is the only obvious choice that the Raw General Manager could be. I don't see it being somebody like Harley Race. I don't see it being someone like Mick Foley or Jimmy Snuka. I don't see it being a legend who we haven't seen in 20 years. I don't see it being someone like the $1 Million Man. I don't see it being someone like Terry Funk. There are so many people that could cross off the list as to who the Raw General Manager is. I'm not going to be let down, as I said, if it isn't Michael Cole. But I would like some kind of a surprise to be thrown in there. I would like to be stunned as to who the Raw General Manager is. Even if it was Michael Adamle coming back after being off WWE television for 4 years. I'd like to have something different done in case of the Raw General Manager. I don't want to see something done again that's been done before. I don't want to see Shane McMahon come back as the Raw General Manager, especially when he's been Raw General Manager before and he didn't even do that great of a job. I don't want to see it be Stephanie McMahon, because we saw how terrible her run was as a SmackDown General Manager. I think Paul Heyman and Theodore Long were different general managers, and I think they had a different approach, and a better approach than someone like Stephanie McMahon had. I even had a possibility of Theodore Long being in control of both shows, being the general manager of Raw and SmackDown. Throw it at me here on this radio program. How fucked up would it be if Theodore Long was the general manager of both Raw and SmackDown, and he was in power of both of them? He was the anonymous Raw general manager, and he was still on TV as the longest reigning SmackDown general manager in history. How messed up would it be if he came out and said, okay, I'm the greatest general manager of all time, and I fooled all of you because I was the anonymous Raw general manager? I think, that would be really fucked up and a very mysterious role for Theodore Long to have played, and probably one of the best storylines he's ever been involved with. There is the possibility it could be a celebrity. Donald Trump was thrown in there as a celebrity possibility to be the Raw